Morning children, Sai Ram. Welcome to chapter 6 of history, that is towns, traders and craftsperson. So children, this will be the part 1 of the chapter 6. Children, please keep your notepad and pen handy so that you can write any important points if required. Okay, and do not skip any of the part. Please pay proper attention. So let us begin now. So children, in the medieval time, okay, there were many towns combined with several functions. They were administrative centers, temple towns, as well as centers of commercial activities and craft production. So we are going to first look at the administrative centers. So children, let us now start with the administrative centers as said earlier. Children, we all have read about the Chola dynasty in chapter number 2, isn't it? So we all know a little bit about Chola dynasty by now. Now let us travel by our imagination to Thanjavur, which was the capital of the Cholas. We all know that the Thanjavur was capital of the Cholas, okay, and it was almost thousands of years ago. So let us travel back over there through our imagination. Just imagine the perennial river Kaveri flows near this beautiful town. One can hear the bells of Rajarajeshwara temple built by King Rajaraja Chola. The townspeople are all in praise of its architect Kunjaramalan Rajaraja Peruntachan, who has proudly carved his name on the temple wall. So this temple basically is dedicated to Lord Shiva and it has a massive Shivlinga inside it. Besides this temple, there are palaces with mandapas or pavilions. So children, besides the temple, there are places with mandapas or pavilions. Let me show you the picture of mandapa now. See, this is the picture of mandapa. This is called mandap, okay. So, kings hold court in these mandapas, issuing orders to their subordinates. There are also barracks for the army. Imagine that the town is bustling with markets selling grains, spices, cloth and jewelry. Water supply for the towns come from the tanks and wells. So, still we have seen that Thanjavur is an example of a temple town and the temple authorities used the wealth to grant finance for temple and banking along with aid of the king's grant, that is a large number of people started settling nearby, okay. The Salia weavers of Thanjavur and the nearby towns of Urayur are busy producing cloth for flags to be used in the temple festival, fine cottons for the kings and nobility, and coarse cotton for the masses. So children, this means that the Salia weavers of the Thanjavur, okay, and also of the near the nearby town, that is Urayur, okay, produced cloth for flags that were used in the temple festivals. They also made or also produce cloth, fine cotton cloth for kings and nobility, and coarse cotton for the masses as well. Some distance away at Savai Malai, the Sthapatis or sculptors made exquisite bronze idols and tall ornamental bell metal lamps. Okay. Like Thanjavur, other examples of temple towns are Somnath in Gujarat and Bilasamabin in Madhya Pradesh, Kanchipuram and Madurai in Tamil Nadu, and Tirupati in Andhra Pradesh. Children, pilgrimage centers develop into townships. Vrindavan and Tiruvannamalai are examples of such towns. Ajmer was the capital of the Chauhan kings in the 12th century and it became Suba headquarters under Mughals. So children, now we move on to our next topic. Before that, let me just give you the meaning of some important words over here to make it easy for you. Okay. The word is administrative town. What are administrative towns? A town where the administrative works of the state or area is carried on by the administrators. Temple town. Temple town means a town with number of famous temples. So a town which has number of temples, not only one but more than that. Okay, lot of temples basically is a temple town. Commercial town, a town which is center of sale and purchases of commodities. And mandapas, pavilions or places where kings used to hold the court to issue order to their subordinates. And the last one is sthapatis. Sthapatis were the sculptors who made beautiful bronze idols and tall ornamental bell metal lamps. Now let us move on to the next topic. So the next topic that we are going to see is temple towns and pilgrimage centers. Okay. Now children, under this topic we are going to understand the reasons for the growth of temple towns. Now we all know that Thanjavur is an example of a temple town. Okay. We have also seen what is temple town. Temple town is what? It represents a very important pattern of urbanization, right? So, what is urbanization now? You must be having this query, right? Urbanization is a process by which rural areas gets itself transformed into urban hubs. Fine. Or in a simple language, it is a process by which cities develop. Okay. So, temples were often central to the economy and society. Rulers built temples to demonstrate their devotion to various deities. So children, we saw that temple town represents a very important pattern of urbanization and Thanjavur is an example of temple town, isn't it? Yes. So what happened was, as I said, rulers built temples to demonstrate their devotion to various deities, and they also endowed temples with grants of money to carry out elaborate rituals and feed pilgrims and priests and celebrate festivals as well as land. So, pilgrims who flocked to the temples also made donations. Now, the temple authorities, they used their wealth to finance trade and banking. Gradually, a large number of priests, workers, artisans, traders, etc., settled near the temple to cater to its needs and those of the pilgrims. Thus grew the temple town. So, this is how the temple towns grew. Okay. So, what happened was, large number of priests, workers, artisans, traders, they settled near the temples, and to cater to their needs, their incense was pilgrims. Okay, and in this way the temple towns grew. So, some famous temple towns were Bilaswamin, Somnath in Gujarat, Kanchipuram and Madurai in Tamil Nadu, and Tirupati in Andhra Pradesh. So, children, the pilgrimage centers also slowly developed into the townships. Now, Vrindavan and Tiruvannamalai are examples of two such towns. Ajmer, which is in Rajasthan, was the capital of the Chauhan kings in the 12th century and later became the Suba headquarters under the Mughals. It provides an excellent example of religious coexistence. So, Khwaja Muinuddin Chishti, the celebrated Sufi saint, settled there in the 12th century and attracted devotees from all creeds. Near Ajmer is a lake Pushkar, which has attracted pilgrims from ancient times. So, children, from the 18th century onwards, the subcontinent was dotted with several small towns. It had several small towns by then. These probably emerged from large villages. They usually had a mandapika or mandi of later times. Mandi is what, children? Mandi means market, to which nearby villagers brought their produce to sell. So, they got their produce to sell in the market. Market means, it's called what? It's called mandapika, right? Yeah. So, children, they also had market streets called hatta, that is hut of later times, lined with shops. Besides, there were streets for different kinds of artisans such as potteries, oil pressers, sugar makers, toddy makers, smiths, stone masons, etc. Some traders live in the towns, but there were also some who travelled from different towns. Many of them came from far and near to these towns to buy local articles and sell products of distant places like horses, salt, camphor, saffron, betel nut, and spices like pepper. Usually, a samanta, or in the later times, the zamindar, built a fortified palace in or near these towns. They also imposed taxes on traders, artisans, and articles of trade, and sometimes donated the right to collect these taxes to local temples. These temples had been built by themselves or by rich merchants, and these rites were recorded in the inscriptions that have survived to this day, which are there till now. So, children, with this I end this part of the chapter. See you in the next part. Till then, goodbye and keep learning.